So anyway, hope you're all doing well today. I had to do some special navigation today to get in here before my wife commandeers my schedule for the weekend. As you know, we have in the United States we celebrate Mother's Day tomorrow. So if you're listening, don't forget. I've made the mistake like once in my lifetime, and it never will happen again. So the title of this one here is "Something New Under the Sun," and obviously it's a play on words as I usually like to do, either somewhere in my presentation or in the title of the spaces. What prompted me with this one, because I had no intentions of really doing one, but I got up this morning, I was going through the normal comedy strips that I look on X and listen to the people that think they know what they're talking about, or they think they know me, or they think they know what you're learning is rebranded this, that, and the other thing. And I saw, I replied to them, well, not them directly. One of their posts garnered the attention of the fanboys that love to sit around and circle jerk and say that they know everything about ICT and it's rebranded. And he said that Larry Williams is the real author of SMC. And they're pulling up books that I told you to buy yourself. Short-Term Secrets to Long-Term Success by Larry Williams, which is kind of, it's a hodgepodge of a lot of his stuff he's done throughout his, his teaching. And I'm not dumping on Larry Williams, okay? So don't take this out of context. I'm just stating, let's be factual here. Um, just for your history lesson, I'm not going to go through everything that I use in my repertoire down to the infinite detail here, because obviously that I'd be spending more time just pointing to things I've already said in my YouTube channel. But there are some things that obviously inspired me to either improve upon or to outright say that is not true. That's not what's going on. Like buying and selling pressure is a myth. That's actually not what's going on in price action. I think you can clearly see that now. And anyone that's denying that is either selling a course which is wrapped around some bullshit, logic that retail, Ichimoku, supply and demand, Elliott Wave, Wyckoff, all those things. They're all gimmicks. They're gimmicks, folks. Okay. There's a verse in the Bible says, "There's nothing new under the sun," and people take that and they stretch it to bounds that encompass things that it didn't really mean. For instance, the world record is only the world record until it's broken. And guess what that becomes? A new world record. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. The idea of technology increasing. Well, take trading, for example, since that's what we're here for, right? We used to trade with hand-drawn charts. I came from that generation. In fact, I was the last generation before electronic trading kicked in. A lot of you listening weren't even alive yet, weren't even an itch in your daddy's jock yet. And guess what? You have no idea what it was like to be trading back then when margins were much more reasonable and commissions were exorbitant. Now you have extremely cheap commissions and you have everything at your fingertips, and yet you still cry like little babies because it isn't spoon fed to you. Not all of you, but you know the people in the community, not just my community, in FinTwit. You know who they are. So technology has changed. Something new under the sun. We have the ability to push a button and charts are populated on our charts in our phone, in our hand. Think about it. You have more power in your hand than the President of the United States had 30 years ago. That's wild. But you don't recognize it because the rate of technology is speeding up so fast, everything's obsolete 10 minutes ago. So the expression is, and this is what I draw your attention to today because it's just more or less for me to have fun today. Kind of like this set the record straight too. Just kind of inspire you to know that what you're learning is from the real McCoy himself, me, and what you're learning isn't anywhere else, despite someone showing you a chart in a book that I actually recommended you buy. So, for the sake of completion here, if you so desire to collect certain trading books, I have over 2,000, and I don't literally believe that the majority of those, not even 2% of them, are worth even opening up. Most of it's regurgitating the same things. It's redundancy. It is almost ambiguous plagiarism, where they don't know what they're talking about, but they're all repeating one another. That's the whole collection of the pursuit of trying to learn how to trade buying books. See, I did all that stuff. But the few books that I do like, I've mentioned before, but I'll say it here, and I don't mean this to be a complete list, but Larry Williams, How He Made $1 Million Trading Commodities Last Year, 1970s book. Most of the stuff in that book was what you saw me come out on Baby Pips with and said, here it is. And over time, I've already told you that that was a graduated, this is where I started in this process, in this order of how I learned, what indicators I looked at, what indicators I'd done away with. That was actually directly right from journal entries of my own progress because I wanted to see if I could create another ICT 2.0, given the focus on the things I was going in this order, using these concepts, these principles, these indicators, these things. Will you abandon 99.9% of that stuff and see what I saw? And none of you did. Not one of you did. They would have been all over the place, popular and grown a huge following, and it didn't happen. So I was disappointed because I was hoping I was going to create like a Frankenstein monster in the same situation, but it didn't happen that way. But Larry Williams' book, Short-Term Secrets to Long-Term Success, that book is kind of like his version of Street Smarts. You just take a look at that presentation style, and I think he kind of like applied it to his own tools and things that he used over the years. And there's a section there where he says, here's a breakout, and then he's trading the other direction. Okay. And what people don't realize is those ideas, they're not unique to anyone. Larry Williams didn't create that. Linda Rasch and Larry Connor's book, Street Smarts, they have these like little bullet point ideas of trading setups. And I believe that's a good book too. And only because it had a big impact on me in understanding stop hunts, because I didn't see that as a thing until around, well, 1995. I started feeling the pain of it. And I didn't want to admit what I was feeling was likely true, which was those guys are out to get me. Okay. And Larry Williams had always said, there are people out there to say, those guys did it to us guys again. That's verbatim coming out of his teachings. That's how he says it. And his view, and if it hasn't changed, I wouldn't know, but at least for a long, long time, Larry held true to, you put your stop loss in the wrong place. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Larry. That's absolutely true. If you get stopped out, you did put your stop loss in the wrong place. But you placed it exactly where they want you to place it. And understanding where those stops will be placed in advance is a skill set that I teach. Not just simply oh, here's a breakout, and it reverses. And if you look at what he teaches in his books, and I've said this before, initially I could not make that part work, which is selling weakness and buying strength. I just couldn't make it work for me. And because I am a contrarian at heart, you know, I consider myself a breaker, as the Bible teaches. I'm standing in the way. And I look at things like when Larry said he wanted to know how to buy below the opening price and know that he could do it. He had one entry method called OOPS, where if you open less than the previous range and rallies back up 20% of the previous range, that's one iteration of it, by the way. He's had several iterations of OOPS over the years, but the original, it's simply taking 20% of the previous range, and if it opens less than or below the low of the previous range, if it rallies back 20%, he'd be a buyer of that and then use like a huge stop loss. That at the time, I couldn't weather that. Like I couldn't, at that time, I didn't have the money to be able to do that. And the guts, really. So I listened to what he said, where he admitted a weakness on his part and said he wished he knew the zip code of the traders that was buying below the opening price on large range days. So that was like, whoa, if I could figure that out, not only would I impress him, but I'd be able to do something he couldn't do, and that would feel like amazing, feat. So that's what I set out to do. For years, I worked on the methodology of looking at examples of where it did this and where it did that over the years. And long and short of this is sometimes I felt like I was on the right path. Other times I felt like I was completely going in a circle and wasn't figuring anything out. And then finally it clicked. By having Street Smart's book, the simplicity of just watching that book outline how the turtles, who were really big deals back then when I first started, like they were the secret society of traders that everybody wanted to delve into. What were they doing? How are they making these hundreds of millions of dollars, And it came out that their strike rate was extremely low, in the 30% likelihood that the trade what they would take would be profitable. Now, would you be willing to take 70% plus losing trades and feel like you got a winning system? To me, it made no sense. So quickly, I was like, oh, well, they don't know anything. They're just getting lucky. But they're a long-term trend methodology. So these long-term trends allow them, afforded that type of trading to yield huge winners because it took a long time for trades to get stopped out. But they got stopped out a lot frequently. So Linda and Larry, not Larry Williams, but Larry Connors, co-authored a book, and they talked about this false breakout pattern of a 20-day high or a 21-day high breakout and then go short if it fails. And again, look at these examples in the book. Larry Williams, Short-Term Trading, Short-Term Secrets to Long-Term Success book, which is wonderful. And look at Street Smart's books, okay? Now you're going to see these books in open, high, low, close format. That's the language we used back then until we got comfortable with the idea that candlesticks are better on the eyes. It's easier to see what you're looking for instead of straining for the little dash for the opening price and a dash to the right of the bar for the closing price. And if you look real close, folks, you'll look real close, you'll see my fair value gap in their charts that they're not making any mention of. And they're going right to the consequent encroachment, and then the turn happens. But they're selling short on weakness way down below those levels, or buying way above it. So when you see those types of things, and they don't exist in Wyckoff books either, anywhere, you see these things and you see people say, well, it's ICT rebranding it. And guess what I found? Chris Laurie's deleted tweet where he says very plainly in his own words when I asked him, because I threatened to bring him into a lawsuit because I had someone acting like a dickhead and they've been since humbled. And I told you it would happen just like that. But he said, no, no, I don't see your stuff in there. But he basically said it like this: no, and he gives some bullshit spin on words to save face publicly. Because I caught him in emails talking two-faced. One side of his mouth, he's talking to me in an email. And then when other people saying, yeah, ICT rips you off. Oh, yeah, everybody's figured him out by now. I made that guy lots of money by putting people onto him. And you never seen him trading. You saw him putting a line saying, okay, we're going to watch this and we're going to watch that. That's not fucking trading. That's not trading. He invited me into his shit. Okay? He invited me. And I told him in an email, I said, I will make this stuff public unless you come out right now. Because I know you don't do any fucking thing like I'm doing. And I found his tweet and I'm going to repost it. I'm just kind of come up with a way where I can do it with a little bit of candor because I could be a real dickhead. But why would you delete that? Why would you delete a comment that says, no, no ICT, no Michael, I don't see my own work in there, because you want people to believe I did that. And see, you fucked up because I'm that kind of guy. I am that kind of guy that will rub your fucking nose in it. Chrissy, that Olympic competition state of mind, you fucked up, buddy. You fucked up. I am the fucking man in trading. I am the motherfucker that can do this. I plan and schedule my losing trades. I told you this week. I know where I'll mess up. I've done the work on that area. Okay? But there ain't a motherfucker walking this planet gonna be able to say that I took their stuff and rebranded anything. If anything, if stuff that worked in my hands when I was younger, I improved it. I made it work. I made it applicable. I made it where you can go into the charts and see it and set your clocks to it. SMT divergence, I've been very, very open about it. The idea and the premise came from Larry Williams' book, How I Made $1 Million Trading Commodities last year. And he's talking about comparing like markets. I said this when I was teaching it. I've always maintained it. And I've always given his flowers and his credit. Looking at a commodity, looking at closely correlated commodities, well, doesn't it go without saying that if you apply that to currencies, in his own words, this works really, really well trading the currency market. Well, what do you think I was doing as a Forex trader? I'm going to do that. But there was no real name for it. You know, it's just relative strength analysis. Yeah, I didn't like that the term because it sounded like the relative strength index. And I hated that indicator. I hated it, despised it. So I called it SMT, smart money technique, smart money tool. To me, it's applicable. I didn't go around and trademark it and say, I can put a trademark on it. You can't say it. I mean, it's so small. It's insignificant in what it is that I do. I don't need a chart, folks. Okay, I'm before the chart. Before you see your chart, I already know it. I've proven this to you, but yet you deny it. And the people that are struggling, they can't stand it, they're going to tell you, or other people that are willing to listen to the bullshit and say, this is all rebranded. It's never been seen. It's always been seen like this. It's always been like this. No, it hasn't. No, it's not. You've never seen anybody calling it to the tick. You've never seen anybody do that. Now, I've never seen Al Brooks trade. I've never seen Al Brooks call every 1 minute candle. I've never seen anyone tell me that he could tell you the time that the setups are going to form. I've never seen that. And maybe you're going to hear all the ambient sound in the background because I'm doing my normal routine. Oh, the day in the life of ICT. We're hearing it. Yeah, you're hearing it. You're going to see it. It's just boring. But I love reading these guys when they put these little comments up there and saying that it's nothing. There's nothing new under the sun. Let me tell you something. Everything I teach is a new ray of sunshine every single time I present it because I'm giving you something that you aren't supposed to know. You're not supposed to know that. See, everybody knows about RSI. Everybody knows about Bollinger Bands. Everybody knows about supply and demand zones. And why isn't that everybody's making money with that stuff? If it's so obvious and this is the way the markets work, why isn't volume profile cracking the code for everybody and they're all retired? And where's the yachts at? Where's all the, that was the expression when I came up. The funny expression everybody said, if there was going to be a meme back then being shared, memes weren't a thing back then, but funny one-liners were. That's where my wit comes from. I came up in that industry because I was never really witty as a young man. I was quiet, and my sense of sarcasm and snarky responses has been conditioned over the years when I was on internet relay chat. So you had to be fast on your feet back then because people that were very, very good at talking down to other people, they could slice and dice you pretty quick. So I had a lot of scar tissue built up over the years. So that's why I have a remark that comes right off the cuff real fast. And some of these 20-year-olds, they're not prepared for it. But this idea that there's nothing new under the sun, I make a mockery of that every day on social media. I tell you where the market's going to go. I set up the people that don't believe in what I'm teaching. I give them exactly what they think they believe. They believe that I only trade demo. They believe that I have 20 different computers and I'm recording everything, but yet I still show the same fucking trades. Scroll to the left, ICT. Scroll to the left. It's still there. Do that on your demo account that keeps getting reset. You can't do that. You can't do it. Why do you keep showing that the market hours is an open tab? What's the point of that? The point is it's not market replay. The point is I'm rubbing your nose in it. That's the point. Because there is something new under the sun. There's lots of things that are new that I've never shown before. All the stuff you've seen to this point is still nothing. It's nothing. That's why I have such a great time on social media, because reading these people pretend that they know what you're talking about is your progress learning. You're coming away from retail logic, or obviously, if you're smart and you didn't get bogged down with all that stuff initially as a retail trader, you're kind of coming in with a perspective that if you've never seen indicator trading, if you've never seen other schools of thought in retail aspects, as soon as you start looking at it, you're like, what in the hell is this? And why would anybody look at that versus what the price is doing and what time it is? That's it. Where's the liquidity? Where's the inefficiencies? And what day of the week is it? And where are we at in the daily range, time-wise? That's all that matters, because the algorithm only cares about that. It doesn't care about your Ichimoku position based on a cloud, based on a candlestick pattern, based on a moving average crossover, based on an overvaluation or an undervaluation of an indicator that absolutely has no bearing on what price is going to do. If there's nothing new under the sun, why does all these new forms of indicator keep coming out? Again, you're trying to stretch something to comfort you because you're seeing shit that shouldn't exist. I told you I had to do it wrong, baby. I had to do it wrong. But see, you don't believe it. You don't believe it because it's too good to be true. And I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Thank you, detractors. Thank you, doubters. Thank you, people that call me a scammer. I love it because without you, the people learning and seeing it in their own hands wouldn't be even more motivated by it. You not having said so. That's like a pinch to them that, yes, this shit's real. And yes, you are being cut out of a mold that few people can press themselves into. See, you have this normalcy bias, folks, that you deny me, you deny what I teach, and deny what I prove. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. I'm out here where I have to be right. Not you as a student. You don't have to be right. See, the people that sell mentorships, they love the idea that I'm trying to teach you to be right. No, I'm teaching you how to operate and not demand perfection and still be profitable. But daddy can walk this shit every day and come home a winner because it's my stuff. It's mine. I know when they're going to work and when they're not really going to work. I know that. What I don't know is when they're going to step in and intervene manually. And I have protocols and procedures for that. I know where I'm likely to fail. I know I know buying during a protraction where the market's going to reach down into a lower PD array for a discount, then go higher. Well, that makes a perfect scenario to go in there and do, I'm going to go long here and put a very, very small stop loss, extremely small. So that way it looks like I messed up. And the trolls get fever pitched and salivating. They can't wait. Oh, look at this guy. He invented the algorithm. He took a loss. And then I really shunned the waters. Oh, took another loss. Look at that. Look at that. And then it delivers. Then it delivers. It goes right where I said it was going to go. It went above it a little bit. Thursday's high. And then Friday's non-farm payroll Friday high last week. And that's about all we got in it. The daily fair value gap traded down into it, didn't close below it, and we stayed inside pretty much the range I outlined. But trading in the direction of that higher buy side liquidity pool on NQ's daily chart. So that's we're not seeing nothing new under the sun. We're seeing something new under the sun. We're seeing proficiency. We're seeing consistency. We're seeing foresight. We're seeing precision-based ideas that are unrivaled in this industry. That's something new, folks. When I was coming up, we didn't have that. We didn't have one guy or one style of trading leading entirely all the time in first position all the time. But see, you're in that moment right now. You are in a Gann moment. You are in a Wyckoff moment. You are in a Jesse Livermore moment. You're listening to the person right now that all of those motherfuckers would be sitting in my classroom taking notes. And if that has a problem, it makes you all uncomfortable. This guy's arrogant. That's not arrogance. That's the absolute facts. That is absolute fact. Because you never seen them go out there and do that. You know, Gann wasn't even a profitable guy. Oop, weren't prepared for that. Jesse Livermore blew his brains out because he went bust. But these are the people that you all think I copied, and I don't have anything from them. Wonderful stories in terms of don't do this. But they would all be listening to this space right now if they were here. And they'd be looking at everything I ever put out there because what I'm teaching you never existed before. Just because you're looking at the same price charts and you're looking at shit after it's happened, that's easy to say. This resembles something. None of these people come forward and says, this is what this procedure, this is the methodology, calls for this, this, and this. And ICT is going to be able to say, this is going to line up. Have you ever seen anybody doing that? Because it's never fucking happened. I've challenged it. I've said it all the time. If my stuff is something else, save everybody time. Save them time. Get $5 million from me in a direct wire where you've proven beyond a shadow of doubt that whatever I'm teaching, institutional order flow entry drill, SIBIs, buy side imbalance, sell side efficiency, all these things, where they're going to form, the first presentation of them, and how they're going to be used throughout the week and the day. See, folks, George Angel with S&P trading, he never had the shit I'm teaching. It did not exist. See, in the beginning, I knew when I told people these were the people that were influential to me. It doesn't mean that they make my trading special. They were influential to me. What I learned from George Angel was the day was divided because this guy was a floor trader. The ebb and flow of what the market was doing, how these rushes of volume coming in, that's what made floor traders profitable. They could see the orders coming in. They could watch this massive shift where, man, there's a lot of buying. There's a lot of buying. And they all knew where the whale accounts were. And when these big whale accounts would be start buying, what are they going to do? They're going to dogpile on top of it. They only need a little bit, but a little bit in their hands down there in the pits, you could be making millions of dollars in a month. But trading, because of patterns and shit, that's not what they were doing. They didn't have the luxury of having charts. They're standing down there in the pits, listening to these people rage about being short or being long, getting in and getting out. So they just dogpiled. That's all floor trading was. Yes, they had the pivot numbers. They knew that it was likely going to gravitate to that level down there. But really, what they were watching was the order flow that was literally in their fucking hands. Ticket runners running down to the pit, screaming, "I got an order! I got an order! This is what I got! This is how many contracts!" And they start ripping it across. All, they're hollering it out there. Some of you 20 years don't even know what the fuck that means. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about half the time, let alone how these markets booked before they were electronic. I have floor traders, very successful floor traders, that were in my fucking mentorship that paid to learn from me because they couldn't do shit when they left the pit. Couldn't transition, couldn't do it. They don't have a problem now. But you're learning technical science. You are in something that's new under the sun. You're experiencing something where they're going to write books about all of this stuff. And you were here when it happened. See, when you read a book about Gann, you read a book about Wyckoff, you read a book about Dow, Charles Dow, you, you, know, you don't really have an affinity for that. I know I didn't. I was like, it's, whatever. To me, it sounded like Stalin, Abraham Lincoln, people, yeah, they maybe existed, but really, who gives a shit? See, I put out there a persona like Stone Cold Steve Austin because it causes people to argue and wrestle and reason. Does this guy know what he's talking about, or is he full of shit? And I love fanning the flames to have just enough for the people that don't want to warm up to the idea because they have hero mentality of loving something else, that they're going to talk. And that talking advertises for me. It's the same broken people that do it. And they are employed by me and they work for free. Their hate is a 100% validation to what you're learning sets you apart. These people that complain and say these things that I'm teaching are rebranded, they've never came forward and proven anything. Not one thing. And the proof is, again, I'm making it public. I have 5 million US dollars, 100% real fucking money. Someone still has yet to come out and say, here's where he gets the time for that fair value gap. This is the aspect of where he wants to use the lower half and the upper half when it changes in the state of delivery. Listen, folks, there has never been, ever, people talking, oh, Chris Laurie. Chris Laurie couldn't do shit if we sat one by one. And I know you're going to hear it because they're going to give you the soundbite, Chris. I will invite you to use the stuff that you do right now. And if you do it better, I will give you $1 million, or I'll give you $1 million to your charity of choice. But it has to be live streamed, and we have to put it in a real account. Just one day. That's easy. Easy. And I promise you, I will bring out 5 things I've never fucking taught before that'll roll your fucking socks up. Now, put your money where your mouth is. Don't be double-minded. Don't speak out both sides of your mouth. When a fanboy or fangirl talks to you and says, oh yeah, this guy at ICT is arrogant, blah, 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 but you're so humble. You're not fucking humble. You're a fucking fraud. You don't go on public social media and say, no, I don't see your stuff and showing my stuff in it. I don't see that. And then delete the fucking tweet. I told you I was going to get that fucking tweet. And I almost didn't want to screenshot it because I was like, nah, he's upstanding. He came out and he pretty much did it. But behind the scenes, I told him that I'm going to drag his ass into a lawsuit and he was going to testify that what I'm doing ain't his shit. That's how far I was willing to go back then. So he came out and did it. And I thanked him for it. But then the tweets disappeared now. Tweet has been removed. Why would that? Why would you want to do that? Because that helps promote the idea that you think that other people, and some people that are stupid, will really believe that I took Chris Lori's stuff. I've been trading longer than Chris Lori. I've been teaching longer than Chris Lori. Okay? I am absolutely 100% willing to do this against anyone. And I've shown all of you. Billy Big Bogs, what's his name? Lance. Mr. Couple $1 million here and there with other people's money. I told him, let's go. Crickets, ran away, keep frauding, keep scamming. I'm calling it before it happens. I'm telling you what's going to happen, and I'm fucking taking trades. And dumb shit. Dumb shit. Open up a fucking AMP account, or someone with a live AMP account, okay? Put the fucking orders on your screen. Put the orders on your screen. And it's going to look the same fucking way. Come on. These people are stupid. They're fucking stupid. They can't accept what they're seeing is real. They can't. It's completely blowing their fucking minds. And I love that. I love that because I got a lot of new students in the last 2 years that hated my fucking guts. And they're like, you know what? Your presentation style really got under my skin, and I wanted to prove you wrong. But damn it, when I went in there, it was a bitter pill for me to swallow and say, you know what? He's right. He got me. Because I want you to hate me. I want you to not trust me. I want you to fucking go in there and say, you know what? I'm going to prove this son of a bitch a liar. And guess what happens? You're a fucking convert. You're convinced. Because you can't escape it. When you do the real work, you can't escape. What I'm teaching you is the market. Because I am the fucking algo. I'm making it very plain and telling you right now, I am the fucking market maker. I am the motherfucker that runs your stop. I am the motherfucker that sets the daily high and low. I am the motherfucker that works out all this shit in advance. And if you can't see it, if you can't recognize it, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, it went completely over your fucking head. And you deserve to be right where you're at because you're not trying to learn. You're trying to listen to all these people talk out their ass and they can't do shit. They can't do anything but talk out their ass. What do you think I'm doing every fucking day? What do you think I'm doing? It's not magic tricks. Price is only going to go where everybody sees it go. And it's going where I say it's going to go. And it's not simply saying enough that, yeah, I can trade. It's not enough to say that. Not for me, it ain't. It's not enough to say that I can be consistent in front of all of you. That's not enough for me. I want to fucking twist that dull edge over and over and over again for the people that have lied and talked shit. And they're silent. They can't say shit and have any meaning behind it. Look at all the people that are standing out in our industry right now. They're among you. They are your brethren. They have been in the same position you're in right now, listening to the same person talk to you right here, right now. What changed? What changed? The two biggest paid out traders in the prop firm industry, and I'm only talking about the prop industry because it's a hot topic right now. But I have students that have quadrupled both Kyle and King in 1 year. But they don't give a fuck about your acceptance of them. They don't want to be hounded. What model do you use? What PDF do you use? What are you doing? Because that's exactly what everybody does. Well, how do you use an ICT? It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. How are you using what I taught? That was the invitation. But both Kyle and Kane have been honest. They said they were fucking wrecks as traders. They were doing all kinds of stuff. They tried everything. They tried every fucking thing. But my life's work made them millionaires. Sure, absolutely. They had to condition themselves, and 90% of the work was done by them. Don't get it twisted. But how they think, how they talk, you can tell they're one of mine. And you're here, and you're in that process just like they are, just like they went through. They're not at their peak right now. It's at their highest performance right now for them, but that's not their peak. I guarantee you, I guarantee you, if you gave both of them the stage to speak exactly how they want to speak and dismiss the idea of arrogance, dismiss the idea of not appearing humble, just talk plainly, they know. They fucking know that they can walk out there and smash this shit when they want. But because now they've been recognized, I'm very interested to see how they handle it. Because as a 20-year-old on America Online, I was a fucking nut job. I was out there flashing everything. And I didn't have the skills I have right now. I was half baked, not not fully refined, but I knew I was on the right track of getting something that nobody could come close to. And when you do that, day after day after day after day after day, every fucking market you talk about, it does it. You think that that doesn't go unnoticed? Because it got noticed. And you see people, you meet people, they question you. How do you know this? How do you know that? What are you doing? How are you doing this? And how are you doing that? You're set apart. There's something new under the sun. This this aberration, this oddity, this fucking mutant. Where did he come from? How is this guy able to do this? That's the question I love prying into your mind and forcing you to ask yourself every day. How am I able to do this if I'm not what I claim to be? So you're forced to either deal with the uncomfortable state of knowing that I'm calling this stuff before it happens, and I'm showing you the executions and sliding to the left that your reset demo account won't show. So where are you at with that, Virginia? Where are you at with that? You can waste a whole lot of time. You can waste a whole lot of time trying to make me out to be a liar. And 1/4 of the time that you put into that, just working with what I'm simply inviting you to test it and see if you don't see it. Test and see that you will not have any reliance on retail logic once you start looking at it this way. And it gives you visibility. It gives you clarity. And here's the number one rule here. What sets me apart? I know when not to do it. Your gurus, these authors, these other educators, even the big old time giants, they can't tell you when not to trade because they tell you my system's calling for this as a buy signal right now. Okay. I have PD arrays that if I don't know the fuck I'm doing, oh, it looks like a bullish order block. Well, let's go long when it trades down into it. It fails. I know. I know when that's going to happen. That's narrative. I gave you a narrative this week. Look out, hand out in your charts. What's above Thursday and Friday's highs? Buy side, buy stops. It reached primarily this week up there and only went down to that daily bullish yellow. If you go back and look at the analysis, it went down into that by one or two ticks below it, but didn't close below it. And I told you that it remains bullish until it closes below that daily fair value gap that was in yellow. So we're trading inside of a predefined range with a predetermined bias, which was reaching for that higher daily buy side liquidity pool, but narrowing our focus down to the low hanging fruit objective for the week would be what? Thursday's high of last week, where it created that wick. And then Friday's non-farm payroll high. Look at your charts. Look at the first resistance to fair value gap on Monday. Look at Tuesday's first resistance to fair value gap. Wednesday's first resistance to fair value gap. Thursday's first resistance to fair value gap. From morning and PM session, and see what opportunities were available to you. The new week opening gaps over the last 5 weeks, how were they used? See, folks, there is absolutely something new under the sun. I have so many things to share. But the problem is, it doesn't satisfy you when you learn something that makes money, that forms every single fucking day. It's not good enough for you. Why? Because you're infected. You're a very specific type of person. You're ICT infected. You're ICT positive. You're becoming one of me. I'm a virus to this industry. That's why I'm here. And they don't want you knowing this stuff. And if nothing ever gets released from here, we have already disrupted the entire industry. They will be talking about you as a community for a long, long time. And all of you that are learning, that are becoming pillars, I promise you, there are people that are about to spring onto the scene that make Kyle and King look like they just started. And gentlemen, that is not meant to be making a negative remark against you, because what you've done is exceptional. But just know that you have brethren that are about to step the fuck out, and it's going to shock all of you. And don't think for a moment that I don't think that the folks that contact me and say, look, this is what I'm doing, I have no interest in being on social media. I only have an account just so I can see what you're doing. And if I wasn't on X, they wouldn't be here either. And they're smashing it day after day after day, week after week. They're pulling down what the highest leaderboard spot right now in Robbins is. They're doing that every month, over and over and over again. Not in prop, not in fake monetized demo accounts. They're doing it with live brokerage accounts. And to me, I have a lot of respect for that. The fact that they don't want to come out here and show off. They don't want to be seen as anything, because the ones that have been honest about it, they said, I can see how I could get sucked into this, and I got to feel like I got to live up to the last experience that I shared online. And that's what influencers have a problem with. I don't run out of yeast. I don't hit a wall in consistency. I don't get it wrong. I don't get it wrong. So they have to spend their time consoling themselves by consoling you by saying, trading is mostly sitting around waiting. Trading isn't a perfect scenario where you can avoid a lot of the losses, except and warm up to the idea that you're going to lose a lot. I don't tell you that. I don't tell you those things. In the beginning, you will suffer that. You will go through that, because that's where you discover who you are. You discover the very things that you self-destruct with. Performance anxiety, Keeping up with the Joneses expressions in mine here, where you see people like even myself, just shy of 150,000 just this week, and I didn't trade everything that's available. Bro, talking about, I've been doing this account for a month and a half, and look at what I'm doing. I did it in 3 fucking days, and didn't even try. Again, there's a meme. There's this little cheetah. He's sitting in the Greyhound box right before the race starts, and the meme is implying that the race has started, and the cheetah's just chilling inside the box, like, you stupid fucks. Like, I don't need to run this race. I'm already at the finish line if I want to be. And this is not arrogance. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you that you're learning this craft and you're going to have this same skill. But how are you going to handle it once you get there? Because there is going to be something new under the sun for you. How are you going to deal with this success? How are you going to be able to wrestle the confidence and not allow it to become overconfidence and then you turn into a prick? See, a lot of you all want to be a Negan. You want to be a shit talking ICT. You all like this part of me. But I only use this caricature to get your attention, hold you in place, to listen. Because I always come back around and bring you Mr. Rogers. Give you a little bit of Bob Ross. But I got to get your attention with the abrasive stuff. Because that's what sells wrestling. It ain't the bullshit they do inside that ring. It's the shit talking. It's the promos. It's the shooting. That's the stuff that I fell in love with as a young man. And the people I loved to hate made me so mad. And the people that I looked at as a hero inspired me. Yeah. This one's going to do this and he's going to beat you up. And I tackle those very things in my presentation. And I capture your attention. And I hold your attention with that stuff. And I know there are people that have little dick energy. They don't like when I do this because they think, oh, look, he's bragging. He doesn't have a track record. Look at what I'm fucking putting down every day. These people that talk that shit, they never come here and wrestle me. They never stand side by side. Let's do it. Something happens always. Something always fucking happens. I'll tell you what it is. It's Velcro balls, okay? They can put them on and take them off. Mine are attached to me. And I'm dragging them behind me every fucking day on social media, asking someone to step on them. I dare you to step on them. But they won't do it. If everything out here is something better than what you're learning, why don't they come here? Why don't they show it? Why don't they prove it? Why don't they call it every candlestick? Why don't they tell you where the fucking daily high and low is going to be? Why don't they tell you beforehand?